Hi, I'm Gabriella. Welcome to my channel. I have a really flexible schedule that's completely up to me to plan, as well as loads of commitments and passion projects on the side. I tend to spend most of my time in basically just a massive ball of stress. But I've learnt some ways of dealing with it and making things less stressful for myself. While a lot of these are initially from a place of doing most of my work from home, a lot of these are really widely applicable to other situations, even if you don't work or get most of your stuff done at home as well. So here are 10 ways of making your life less stressful and hopefully encouraging you and helping you to feel more motivated about your work and your passion projects. So my first major tip is to not do any work in your bedroom. Have a separate room where you get everything done. Your room should be purely for sleeping and relaxing. This is because your brain links actions to places, and if you're doing a lot of more stress-inducing things in your room, then when you're not doing them in your room, you can start feeling guilty or stressed about the fact that you're not doing them, and it can even affect your sleep at night. My second tip is to have a continuous to-do list. Not a list where you have to be getting everything done immediately, but basically just a list or a place where you can put down everything you need to do so that you don't forget anything, because that is one of my biggest stresses, that I'm possibly forgetting something because I do so many things. The fear of forgetting something really gets me stressed out, so if I have one big list, one place where I have everything I need doing, then I know I'm not forgetting anything. This can also then be broken down into more manageable chunks and help you plan everything. I do this in 3 stages. I kind of have a big overall monthly to-do list. Then every week I take that and break that down into things that I want to get done that week. I'll take things off that list, and I'll also have things that, events that are happening that week or things that I've decided that week I want to get done that week. Then on the day, sometimes, not every day, but quite frequently when I'm having like a more productive day, I will then get a smaller to-do list, take the things I want to do that day and also things that are specific that I want to, that have just come up, like walk the dog, make sure I need to get that done. I will put that on the day's to-do list. So to link to that, my third point is to focus on prioritizing and categorizing things. This allows you to really break down your list and make sure that you're focusing on all the areas that you need to and you're not forgetting anything. While prioritizing is pretty straightforward, you kind of pick the most urgent, important things and make sure you do them first, categorizing is quite different and can be done differently depending on how it works best for you. I have various different methods, and the one that I use all the time is that when I'm writing my weekly to-do list, I make sure I write things down in chunks, like in sections, depending on what area of my life they correspond to. So YouTube videos, musical theatre, admin things, work, social things, and so on. And then I find it much easier when I'm doing smaller to-do lists, so I'm going through the week, to then look and make sure I'm actually getting things done out of each section and I'm not just focusing on one section and completely ignoring another part of my life. One thing that I've tended to use when I'm going through a more stressed out phase is to actually write down on my to-do list where each thing should be done, whether it's a stressful thing and therefore it needs to be done in my study, whether it's like a relaxed chill thing and therefore I can do it in my bedroom or wherever, or whether it's something that happens outside the house, doesn't need to happen specifically in one of those 2 places. And I find that quite useful, because then that means when I'm planning my day, when I'm looking at what I'm doing, I can, and also in my week overall, I can make sure that I'm not throwing in too many stressful things, or if I am, if I can't take any of them out, that I'm adding in, a good amount of less stressful things or like relaxing things to balance it out, so I'm getting a good balance of stressful and non-stressful things in my life. Fourth, we're still on to-do lists. I promise this is the last point about to-do lists, I think. Sort of. And that is to Marie Kondo your to-do list. That might sound silly, but honestly, if you're looking through your to-do list and you're just filled with dread, I mean, obviously there's going to be some things on the list that you have to keep on, you have to do those things, but everything else, all the sort of optional things or things that are like your passion projects or like things you want to personally work on, if you're looking at them and you're just feeling dread, you're not wanting to do them, then maybe get rid of some of them. Or if you don't want to get rid of them, then spend some time thinking about why you're doing these things and kind of remind yourself what it is you love about doing them. So when you're going to do those things on your list, Just take a moment to remind yourself that you're not doing this because it's on your list. You're doing this because you love it and you want to do it. And that can really help make things less stressful. So the fifth point, moving away from to-do lists, sort of, onto calendars. Honestly, I find these the most useful thing. Like, if you have nothing else, have a calendar. Obviously have all the events and things that you're doing on it, but also put in things like deadline reminders or when you want to achieve things by. Put in deadlines for things you don't think you'll need deadlines for, and if you have any self-imposed tasks, put in deadlines in the calendar to make sure, you know, you actually get it done and you give yourself some target to work towards, instead of just saying, oh, I want to do this, but, you know, I don't really have any deadline for it, so I'll just do it whenever, and then it never ends up happening. If you put a deadline in a calendar, it makes your brain think it's like official, or can, hopefully should do that, and that might just make it a little bit easier for you to really find the motivation to do it. Make sure it's clear and like well laid out, and try not to clutter it up too much, and then you just won't have the stress of, you know, forgetting about something and getting a nasty shock. So speaking of scheduling, number 6 is to schedule in breaks. And not just breaks from working, but breaks from stressing too. Even if you don't get much done when you want to get it done, it's important to still switch off and take a break. I'm the kind of person where literally everything I do because it's something I want to do, and therefore it feels like something I need to achieve. So it's really important for me to find time to completely switch off, because otherwise my brain is just set to must achieve all the time, and it just gets so stressful. So if you really need to make sure you take breaks, schedule them in. If you're like me and struggle to completely relax, scheduling them in can really help, because then it's like, this is my scheduled time to relax. This is the time where I'm allowed to do it, as opposed to, oh, this is the time I could be doing something else. And it's also true for scheduling work if you're bad at that. So if you're really struggling to sit down and do things, just schedule in a time, make a timetable for yourself. Number 7 is more scheduling, but not just for your work, but for your day. It's really important to have a good routine. If you have a good routine, even if you're not feeling motivated to do anything, because it's your routine, your body will feel much more used to doing it, and you'll just be able to get on and do it if you're used to that routine. So get up at a good time, don't stay in your pajamas all day, get changed, work in a different room. Make sure you have a good morning routine that works for you and makes you feel ready and prepared for the day. And make sure you're getting out, taking breaks. Balance the work with relaxing things too. Even if you really enjoy what you're doing, make sure you have some other hobbies and relaxing things to do. Otherwise, the thing you love doing might become a bit of a chore. A further element to scheduling, number 8, is to schedule days off. Not like every other day, but maybe like once a week. Your body needs time off to completely rest and recharge. Basically, if you're living a really hectic lifestyle, really busy, you need that time to rest and recharge. You need to look after yourself all the time, not just when you're feeling bad. Look after yourself when you're feeling good, and you'll spend less time feeling bad. Number 9 is basically the complete reverse and opposite of to-do lists, and that is achievement journaling. I actually have a video where I went through how I do mine quite a while ago now. I'll put the link in the description. But basically, as I said, it's the opposite of a to-do list. Instead of writing things down that you need to get done and then ticking them off, you start with a blank list, and as you do things, you write them down. So as you're doing things, your list grows, and your list of achievements that day grows. You can do it day to day, or you can do it every week. It can vary depending on what you feel you need, but basically it's just a really simple way of flipping the perspective on things, because instead of everything being something to do, it instantly becomes something that you've achieved. And finally, number 10 is to know yourself. Try out different strategies of managing things, find out what works for you. And if you have lots of different strategies, good, but also don't feel the need to use them all at the same time. I have lots of different strategies. I mean, I use all the ones I've listed here plus more, but I never use them all at the same time because that can become overwhelming. Know what things work for you and when they work for you, Know when you need to use each one to get the most benefit out of it, and when you're feeling certain ways, which ones will make you feel better about things, or whether you even need to bother with them at all. I'm also not afraid to shake up my system, and I often do that. If you're someone who doesn't deal well with lots of change and you like keeping things the same, then great, do that. But don't be afraid to have a check-in every now and again and just make sure that everything's going as well as it can be, and seeing if there are any tweaks that you need to make. So there are my top 10 ways to make your life less stressful when managing lots of different elements. I hope you found them useful. Let me know in the comments if you've used any of them, or if you have any other ones that you'd like to share. I'd love to hear them. See you next time. Bye!